Hi, this is Jenny. We're going to now put together Christmas card kit card number 1. Whenever you receive your card packet, then you'll have all of your cards individual. And what we're going to do for this first card is you have a piece of crumb cake card base. There's a strip of designer paper with glue dots. We have some things that are down inside of the wax paper. We have this card front, and it has the strips on the back. It's going to layer this way. You could choose whether you want the scallop shells to go upwards or downwards. We have a medallion that has tape on the back and dimensionals for the second part. So I'm sliding everything out except for these are the items that are stuck to the wax paper. So the wax paper has glue dots with the jar front and the piece of ribbon that goes onto the jar. So let's put together the jar first. There is a piece of cardstock that is just plain white, and this is going to be the back part of the jar. The front part is here, and it's made with vellum, and it has silver embossing. And we are going to put the candies on the back. Now the candies all have a piece of tape or a glue dot on the back. So what you'll do is remove each piece of the adhesive so that it will stick down to the jar. My advice whenever you're adhering the candy pieces to the jar is to plan out where you want to put them. And that's going to happen before you take off the glue dot paper. Otherwise, once they get down, then I don't know that you're going to be able to reposition those. So if you imagine that this jar is sitting on top, then you see that the space inside is going to be decreased for where you can place your candies. So I would suggest not putting the candies up against the side. I would suggest putting them into the interior of the jar. So there are 4 candies, and they can overlap one another. And remember, they are in a jar, like a 3-dimensional object. They're not going to lay flat. They're going to be in a different kind of space. So if you want your jar to look a little realistic, then you can kind of have them overlap one another and lay at different angles. You get to pick how you'd like to have it. I'll put one up high, kind of like it's falling down into the jar. Alright, so to put the jar front, then just kind of carefully remove the paper from the wax paper and make sure that the glue dots stick onto the vellum and that the glue dots don't stay onto the wax paper. This unit here is going to be pretty secure, but I still think 4 glue dots or 4 areas of tape are going to be a nice idea to keep everything together. If you plan on mailing your card, then we want it to stick together. Alright, so just apply a little bit of pressure, and that should be enough to hold it together. This piece here is supposed to represent ribbon going around the jar, and it also has glue dots. So you will remove it from the wax paper to make sure that you are not leaving the glue dot on the wax paper. There we go. And place it wherever you like on the jar. It's going to be cut to go all the way across. Wherever you would imagine that the ribbon would be, that's where you're going to want to put your ribbon on the jar. Okay, so we're done with the wax paper, and let's assemble the medallion. The medallion is going to go together right on top of the back piece. I would keep in mind that these 2 dimensionals are going to need to be up and down in order to balance the card going over the extra piece of designer paper. So I've got my 2 dimensionals this way, Place it nice and center. And that's it. Okay, this unit is put together. So let's start attaching all of these things to the card. We have tape, oops, it's running away from me. We have tear and tape on the back. And if you don't have some kind of a pokey tool to remove the glue dot paper and the tear and tape paper, then it's a good idea to use your scissors. You can use the pointy side. Let me show you. This is my pointy scissors. Stampin' Up! Has paper snips, and they do really, they're awesome. They have really nice points. Okay, paper. Here we go. Just make sure that the glue stays on the paper and that it doesn't come off with the tape piece that you're removing. Alright, so this is when you would make your choice as to have the scallops point this direction or this direction. So I'm going to have them point down. This will need to be centered and apply a light pressure. If you were to put too much pressure, then you might actually cause some of the embossing to displace itself. So just gentle pressure, a nice firm gentle pressure is all you really need at this point. So now you will either have glue dots with paper, or you'll have a piece of tear and tape on the back of this designer piece. You can see that this designer paper kind of looks like a sweater on the opposite side. It's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to butt it up to the edge of the white, and the same here. Just give it a nice firm pressure, and that's attached. We will have dimensionals on this unit, and I forgot to put them on mine. But you will have a dimensional on yours. So with 2 dimensionals, then we're just going to take the paper off of the back. And kind of straddle. You can either straddle this here, or you can have the jar be sitting actually on it. This is going to straddle here. So if you want to have a little bit of like movement on the card, or if you want to have everything at the bottom, this is when you would make your choice. I'm going to have the jar kind of sit on. But the great part about making cards is you get to make that choice. You get to choose where you'd like it. Okay, and there is a part of a dimensional on the back of the ribbon. I'm going to add that to the corner here. All right, and the only thing left other than attaching this is the lid. Now you can make a choice if you want the lid to be on the jar, or if you want the lid to be kind of sitting to the side. You can have it balanced one direction or another. So let's get the backing off. I think I'm going to have it kind of lay here up against the side, just to give a little bit difference to catch the eye. So for the medallion, then we will remove the backing of the dimensionals, keeping in mind that we're going to straddle this piece of paper here. So I've got my 2 dimensionals, and I'm going to bring this kind of down to where I can still see a little bit of the designer paper on this side, and I don't want it to actually go down to the bottom to where I'm not going to block off the edges of the card. I just want it to kind of sit to where you can see, and then rotate it to where you're happy with the orientation, and then apply gentle pressure to the dimensionals to be able to keep it up, and you're set. So this is the first of the 4 cards. I think this is going to mail nicely because when you put your hand and feel, then the foam that is on the dimensionals is going to it's going to keep everything in place and keep it up, and it'll mail nicely without any problems at all. These candy pieces are not going to float around because they have been glued down. Everything is in place and is glued down nicely. And if you wish, then a piece of twine would be nice across the top, or you can add anything, you know, put some more sparklies on here. There's a lot more that you can add to it that comes from your own creativity. So that's card number 1. I'll see you in card number 2. Hi, this is Jenny. Are you ready for card number 2? Card number 2 is going to be a cherry cobbler card base. And then we have a piece of designer series paper from this Christmas. And it has tape on one side. That's going to be the side that we adhere to the card front. There are a number of sequins, and I've put a variety in your packet for you to be able to decide on exactly which sequins you would like to use. There's 3 pieces of twine or thread. We have a sentiment banner with tape on the back, a back side to the sentiment banner that has dimensionals that will be combined to make 1 unit. And then we have our card front that has dimensionals already on the back. We have a large die cut sentiment with glue dots on the back that is adhered to wax paper. And I've already cut fun foam and stacked those dies for you. That way you can have an eye grabber on your card, and it is nice and soft. It's not going to be too bumpy for you to place your Christmas card in the mail. That's one of the key things that I try to remember whenever I'm putting together a Christmas card, is that most likely it will be mailed, and we want it to get there the same way that it leaves. So let's get started. Take the piece of designer series paper and remove the backing of the 2-way tape. Now remember, this 2-way tape, you want to make sure that it sticks to the paper and not to the tape backing that you're removing. I use a paper piercing tool from Stampin' Up! That is really good. It has a nice sharp tip to it, but it's not too sharp to where I'm going to injure myself. And it's sharp enough to get underneath everything that I need it to get under. Okay, now this is when you'll be able to say, do you want your paper this way or do you want your paper this way? It's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong. The card is going to be a side opening card, so it just depends on whether you like your little pine pieces and snowflakes pointing in one direction or the other. This will be centered right on the card front, on the card base, sorry. All right. And then we'll bring the card front over and remove the backing from the dimensionals. I put a lot of dimensionals on this, and the reason is because I want it to be able to stand up in the mail, stand up to, you know, the battering that the post office gives the mail. Now this will be centered to where you can see a little rim of the designer paper around the white. So just make sure you can see a little bit all over. Then we apply gentle pressure to the card dimensionals. That way they can adhere without damaging this top one here. All right, let's put together our banner unit. We're going to start that by taking off the tape and centering it here on this banner. Very simple. Okay, and once that is on, then we can remove the dimensionals that are on the back of this unit, and find a suitable location for the banner. I have the card designed to put the banner right along where this third tier, well, I guess you would call it 1, 2, 3, 4, where the fourth tier down is going to be straddling it, and press gently. This is on dimensionals, and so it's not gonna weigh down the paper. And then we're going to take the die cut sentiment. It has glue dots on the back, and it is made with stacked up fun foam also. So make sure that whenever you remove it from the wax paper that you are getting the glue dot to come away with the die cut, and that it doesn't stick to the wax paper. So this will kind of go where the Y hangs down. This is soft enough for you to be able to, if you wanted it to be, let me see if I could show you. If you wanted it to be curvy, you could certainly make it curvy at this time. You could have it go across the card. There's a couple of different ways that you could make this happen. It's a nice sentiment. It has a lot of movement to it. All right, so once that is in place, then we're going to start decorating this tree. There's a piece of tape on the back of the foil star, and that will just go here on top of the tree, like so. And then we have these beautiful little sequins. I did not adhere the sequins. I would like for you to have the choice to either put the sequins or not. And if you do choose to use some sequins, then just grab your liquid glue, whatever kind of glue you've got, and start decorating your tree. The way that I kind of did the decorations was that I had them on the edge of the tree and on the inside of the die cut, where it's going to be like decorations on the actual tree. I'm on glue. Okay. And there are a variety of colors that I've made sure that you have. We have some, you could even put one here on this banner. I'll show you. There's a clear one to go right on there. I'm using a pair of tweezers because my fingers have a tendency to, the sequins will stick. Okay. And you could put as many or as little or none. It's entirely your choice. I'm including them for you just to have the option to use them. There we go. Slide that little guy in there to where it's partly up underneath the banner. Here's another star. I'm gonna put another star over here on the corner. Kind of sliding it up underneath the banner. So there's no art to this sequins, just put the sequins where you would like to have them. Okay, so you get the idea. There may be a little few extra sequins left over, or you may use them all. That's entirely your choice. So the last thing that we have in this packet here is 3 colors of twine. This is where another place where you can choose to be artistic and use all 3. You can use one of the 3. I'm putting all 3 of them in here for you so that you can make your choice as to what you'd like to do. Now you can adhere the thread twine by going into the card like so and tying it up around the edge. You can tie it around the white unit here before you attach it. There's a lot of different options and possibilities whenever it comes to working with twine and thread. So what I'm gonna do, if I can get this to cooperate. Ah, there he is, runaway twine. I'm going to tie a bow. I'm not going to try to get a perfect bow because I'm using all 3 of these colors. So I just want it to, I want it to bring the eye around the card. So I am going to wrestle this stuff over here. Just a very simple bow. And once you get your bow made, maybe I'm going to be using a knot instead of a bow if it won't work with me. But once you get that made, then you can adhere it to the card so that it stays in place. If you like, you can use a little bit of glue. Tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm going for a knot. Okay. I think a bow would look really great here, and I will do a bow at a later date for the photograph, but for now we're going to pretend like this is a bow, and there we go. So this is how you would have the design come out on this card. You will have a decorated cutout tree with a stacked sentiment and a banner, and please feel free to put the sequins anywhere you like. This is kind of a sparkly, clean and simple design look, and then you've got your eye drawn here with the 3 pieces of thread. I'll see you in card number 3. Hello and welcome to card making video number 3 in the Christmas card kit series. Today we are going to be assembling this Christmas card. You have a white, in your packet, you have a wax paper that has a couple of pieces of twine, a red die cut, and then 2 silver foil die cuts that are attached with glue dots. We'll start with the gray card base. Make sure that it is scored here along the top, and then we'll work on this unit here. On the back of this unit is score tape or tear and tape, and I've adhered it to just come off. Sometimes it's a little tricky. If you have some kind of a sharp object, the pointy end of your scissors or a paper piercing tool is what I use, then that is going to be very effective. These 2 pieces are going to, they measure the same width, but the white piece is slightly shorter than the green, and they're both the same width as the card base. So when you center this, you will put it flush up against the green, and then where you're going to center is in this direction, the from top to bottom it'll be centered. So get it right up against the edge on this side, and then apply gentle pressure to adhere these two pieces together. Okay, and this is the same width as the card stock. So whenever it goes together, then you're going to do the same thing. Now before we attach this to the card base, then I'd like to assemble this, and I'll show you why in just a few moments. We have a dimensional on the back. It's foam with two-sided adhesive. So we're going to work on the side that does not have the dimensional. Take the medallion and make sure that the glue dot comes off of the wax paper with the paper, with the piece of foil, because sometimes glue dots like to stick. And place this unit in the middle and give it a little gentle pressure. And we're going to do the same thing to this ornament topper. It has a glue dot on the back. And for this piece, we'll bring it down onto this point just far enough to where the red does not show through the top ring. Where it's sort of a teardrop shape. Or you can attach it here and then have the teardrop shape at the bottom. I'm going to actually attach it with a teardrop at the bottom because that looks like some of the ornaments that I remember from my childhood. So we will place this here. A really good way to make sure something is centered is to use your grid paper. Put the center of this point here. And then make sure that you have your piece centered in between the dotted lines, and then just come in from the top line here. And give a little gentle push, and there you go. Now if you wanted this to be up a little bit more, you could of course use some glue or something to move it, or you could flip it around and use it the other direction. Okay. Now let's use these pieces of twine. Just thread it through the hole of the ornament. Give it a little bit of a squeeze in between your fingers. And that's how we're going to attach this piece here. Now we will remove the backs of the foam adhesive. And before we place it down, then we're going to attach this unit. The reason that we're doing this in this order is because we want to use this piece of dimensional to secure these pieces of the twine in place. I want the ornament to hang down off of the unit, but keeping in mind the side of the card is flush with the right, and that little bit of glue dot is going to help right here to hold this top of the ornament in place. And I will take the twine and just roll it back and lay it on here. Give it a little push with your nail, and that'll hold it in place. Now of course you can scooch it over, get it however it's comfortable. And now we're ready to attach this unit down to the card. So I have all the backing removed except for that of the ornament. And the ornament has a dimensional here that will keep it in place. So make sure that you kind of move it around a bit until it gets where you would like it to be. And now we are going to center flush against the edges. We have a glue dot here. We have glue dots here. And everything is in place. So now we're left with this piece to make a bow. If you like, you could thread it through this unit here and make a bow. However it is that it's easier for you. And we're looking for a small bow. Well, this bow is not going to cooperate for me. I tried to use natural looking linen thread to go with this. I'm going to use my paper piercer here. That's going to get my little card maker's assistant. And this natural looking thread would give us a very earthy looking finish to the card. Okay. This is more like what I was looking for personally. You can, of course, make the bow as large or as small as you like, because you are the bow maker and you are the card maker. And this can be attached with just some regular crafter's glue, a glue dot, whatever you have. I'm going to attach it up here where this spot of thread meets the top of the ornament. I'm going to put him right there. And these pieces can be cut down after it's attached. Oh no! I glued it to my finger. Okay. There we have it. Runaway threads running around. Okay, so that's this card. This card is very simple and elegant, and the sentiment of Noel sends out your Christmas message to the world. If you like, you can embellish it further with maybe some rhinestones or pearls, scatter some sequins around. But this is a really good card. It's clean and simple and very natural looking. So I will see you in card making video number 3. Or I'm sorry, number 4. This is number 3. I'll see you in number 4. Hi, welcome to the instructional video for card number 4 of my Christmas card kit. You are going to really like this card. So let's open the packet, and we have a white card base, a doily with a dimensional, a die cut with a glue dot holding it onto the wax paper, a piece of ribbon that has 2 different pieces of tape on it. It has one on the back and it has one down at the fold. Our card front has tear and tape. It has a sentiment already stamped. There is a doily with 2 pieces of tear and tape. There is a piece of I guess you call this not really a medallion, but kind of like a banner. So we've got some dimensionals on the back of here. And then we've got 2 pieces of tear and tape on the back of the designer paper, and a piece of vellum that has 1 piece of tape. So let's get started. Using your trusty paper piercing tool, we can adhere the card front to the card base. There's a couple of different ways you can go about using a paper piercing tool, or you can use the sharp end of your scissors, and it just pulls the tape right up. This piece is going to be centered all the way around. There is going to be a margin on all four sides. So I hold it above, give myself a generous look, and then lay it into place. Apply gentle pressure to the tape area and you're set. The next on is going to be the doily. When you remove the tape from the doily back, be gentle because the doilies are very delicate and I wouldn't want you to pierce it. However, if you do, then you'll still be okay. So we have these two pieces, and you could choose the different rotation of your doily. It really is not going to make too much difference, other than just making sure that it is centered from up and down, and leave a little bit of space to the left. We want to be able to see our sentiment. All right, and some gentle pressure will activate that glue. We'll set this aside and we'll create this unit. All right, so we're going to take the dimensionals last, but we're going to build onto this. We'll take the piece of designer paper, paper piercing tool, and remove. All right, and this piece of paper is cut to the same length. So the length is going to be flush, but you have a little bit of extra space in the height. So just kind of hold it over the cardstock, give yourself some space at the top and the bottom. Gentle pressure will activate that glue. For the piece of vellum, carefully remove the backing. And do exactly the same thing with the last piece. Now, one way to, if you're going to have something cut exactly the same size as what you're adhering to, then a trick that I use is to get them flush at the bottom and then just kind of lift it into place, especially since it's straight on all the sides. And our glue is right here. With vellum, you can see where the glue activates, but we're going to be putting something on top of this. All right, now we are ready to remove the backing on the dimensionals. These are foam that have glue and paper on both sides. So whenever you use these dimensionals, then you can stick them down, and at a later time you can remove the back. And so that's what we're doing. This unit will now attach to the card. Just center it and use gentle pressure at the 5 points where the dimensions are. Now we're going to adhere this ribbon. The reason that there is tape in the middle fold is because we're going to close this ribbon up just at the fold. When you go to fold it, kind of make it go to one side so that when the ribbon is closed, it will be open on the ends. It'll flare out a bit. And then we will remove the tape from the remaining side. And we will have the ribbon go out a distance. You can judge as to what you're comfortable with. I like it to come close enough here to the edge. So you'll see that our piece of glue that we used for the vellum is going to be hidden. This doily, it's a metallic doily. We're making a medallion, and we will remove the piece of tearing tape. Adhere to the left of the ribbon, but to cover the edge of the ribbon so that it is secured underneath the doily. Now we're ready to remove the die cut bird. It's held down with a glue dot, so as you remove it from the wax paper, just make sure that the glue dot comes away with the die cut paper and it doesn't stay behind on the wax paper. We can place this bird with the orientation of where, like, you could have him down like this, you could have him up, but the way that I plan it is that I can see the location of his wings and his feet, and I think his throat is supposed to be curved up, like he's singing. So gentle pressure will activate that glue dot in place, and he's all set. And this is card number 4. Season of Joy is your sentiment. Some nice subtle coloring. Please feel free to watch any of the videos again if that will help you with some of the assembly. And please, if you do have any questions, then you do know how to contact me through my website, www.jennystampsup.com. You can email me at jennystampsup@gmail.com. And if you're a regular customer of mine, then you do have my phone number, contact information as well. So thank you guys for participating in my Christmas card kit. I hope that you are going to enjoy putting together all of your cards, and I look forward to spending many more holidays with you guys. Thanks for making it together. And Merry Christmas.